Morning, everyone, or in our case, good afternoon. Today we are going to start hand sewing. So I'm creating a demonstration for you about how to do two different hand sewing stitches. But first we're going to start with a little bit more preparing. So go ahead and take this part. You don't need your name tag at the moment, but don't get rid of it. You're going to take your two pieces of fabric and we're going to iron them folded in half. I'll have ironing boards all over the room that you can share. If you have a particularly wrinkled piece of fabric, iron it flat first, and then simply fold it in half and iron it perfectly folded in half. Okay, so I've ironed both of my pieces of fabric in half. Now I'm going to get my hand sewing needle ready to start sewing. So remember, in your minion, you have 6 hand sewing needles. There should be 6 of these when you're done today. We don't want to lose these. You're going to take one hand sewing needle and you are going to take your thread. You'll also need some scissors. So to thread up your needle, first of all, you don't want to take more than a shoulder's width of thread, because when you're hand sewing, if you have a piece that's this big, you're going to poke out the eye of the person sitting next to you with your hand sewing needle. So safety first, just grab a shoulder width. We can always put more thread on our needle if we need it. So cut your thread, and then Lauren, you're going to have to get closer. You're going to take your hand, lick it, and then you're going to take your thread and you're going to wrap it around your finger loosely 3 times. Then you're going to take it and just roll it off of your finger like that. And then you're going to take the thread and just pull on it like that so you have a knot. That's the easiest and fastest way to make a knot. You don't want your thread to fall out of your fabric. All right, then you take the other end of your thread and you place it through the needle, and you can see this is a very big eye to a needle, so it's going to be really easy to thread this up. So now we have a threaded needle. Now when we make our projects next week, where you're making the earphone holders, you're going to be using really thick thread. Right now we're just practicing with really thin thread because we don't care about it. So you're going to take, for the first hand sewing stitch, you're going to take your needle and you're going to open up the fabric and you're going to put your needle inside right there. So you can see here's my fold, here's my needle going into the fabric. This is going to hide my ugly knot. In fact, I can even trim this knot because it's really hideous, like so. And then you just hide it inside the fabric. We're going to do what we call the running stitch. So you go into the fabric, and then this same distance, you're going to come back out of the fabric from the underside. Back into the fabric, the same distance, and then back out of the fabric from the underside. So this is going to always be the same distance. This thread, this space, this thread, this space. You're going to do it all the way around the entire piece. So just going in and out, in and out. This is one of the easiest hand sewing stitches. Now every few stitches you're going to want to knot it, every 3 stitches, because this is going to be a permanent stitch. So to knot your thread, you just go into the fabric a little bit like that, so just a tiny bit, and then you're going to pull your needle through, and before the loop goes into the fabric, you just stick your needle through it. There you go, we have a knot. This prevents the entire thing from falling apart if you happen to break some of the threads. Say this is pair of pants. I wouldn't want the side of my pants to fall apart because I didn't knot it every 3 stitches. So now we'll just resume going in and out, in and out until you go all the way around. Don't forget to knot it every 3 stitches. So turning our corner, just going in and out. If you somehow run out of thread, remember how we don't want to put too much thread in here, you can knot it off with the same exact stitch. So I'll show you how to do that. Knotting it off right here. See, that thread goes into the fabric just a little bit, and then it comes back out, and you're going to put your needle through. Now we're just going to go back into this stitch right here. Needle goes into the loop before it goes in, and do this one more time. You always knot it off 3 times when you're finished with this stitch. All right, so now I could cut this and I can grab another piece of thread and I can start it out right here and continue on with it. That's, again, if I've run out of thread. So pretend I've gone all the way to the end. I would just knot it off 3 times like I just did here to replace my thread. That, for now, is it.
It's been a really messed up week. 7 days of torture, 7 days of bitter, and my girlfriend went and cheated on me. She's a California dime, but it's time for me to quit her. La la la, whatever. La